show, to this podcast. For all those that are attending, thank you for being here. And let me share with you today a topic that comes back. It's not the first time we're talking about it, because it's a subject that comes every day. And first and foremost, you can find us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and other channels of social media. And podcast is really the classic Spotify and Apple Podcast and Amazon Podcast, where this show should be available. It's recording also, so you can get back if you want to it. And very importantly, I would love to have your comments and questions coming here on the right side of the left side, probably for you, right side for me, of the screen for the LinkedIn viewers. And your comments will be also on LinkedIn, where the comments lines are, comments or questions. And if I see them and I can be multitasking, I will try to answer your questions in real time, or I will get back to you. You have access also to the website, which is andrepolitzer.com. There is a few things that are there that can give you some information about the coaching, about the mediation activities, but mostly there's content about these topics that we are, showing here. On YouTube, you can go to the YouTube channel and please subscribe. The subscription that you can really just for 1 second gesture is going to give us a lot of encouragement first. Secondly, opportunities to increase content, go back to the guests deck, and to go so back to create the forum that we are looking to launch sometime in March from Zoom. And Zoom will be, in fact, at the platform and not Restream anymore. Okay, Restream will be there, but not the main one. So why do I bring this topic of uncertainty again? Obviously, because what I can share as an experience with you is that what's the word that I think is most commonly used in a work coaching session today for probably most of the executive coaches and leadership development coaches is the word reorganization. Reorg, right? And that's a terrifying word because people get terrified, people get scared. Because when you have been, working a long time in the company or a long time in the position that you had, or had a, predictable path, a career pathway that the company, your employer, allows you to have and enables you to have, then it's called stability. It's called routine, and sometimes we take it for granted. And I think the call for when you hear the word the reorg, and when you have any kind of reasons for the reorg, a post-merger, strategic changes, companies and corporate changes, the first thing I ask people to do is not to expect to have more information for a while, and not expect that their boss have more information than they do. And that's really most of the time true. If this is true, right, that they don't have so much information about what's going on, isn't that not an excuse, but a good reason to, in fact, put yourself as a good leader at the same level as all the people that work with you, for you, and above you, and not have any concern whatsoever about what's going to happen? Have a trust into the situation and confidence in yourself. As long as you're the manager, the leader of this team, in demand, in big need of your solid confidence and trust, which is not a lie, which is totally inside you, because you understand that it's not in your hands, because you understand that it's not necessarily for a deficit or for having people demoted or going to the negative, because what's the center of attention here is to really carry what's called a growth mindset. And a growth mindset means many, many things. Growth mindset is a topic by itself for a series of at least 10 live shows, because growth mindset is a skill. It's something that you are developing with experience, with maturity, with, with education, but especially with confidence and trust. I think the engine, really, to be a strong leader is to have this self confidence. And if you don't have it, to work on it until you feel very much inside that there is nothing to worry about too much, as long as you are who you are authentically, sure that everything that represents you, your background, your impact on people, your communication skills, and if you don't have much of that, at least the intention behind it, all of that represents a good willing person with great values, solid core values, and someone who should not worry at all that as you carry yourself through your career path, whoever the employee, whichever employee you have, whoever the employee is, whoever the boss is, you continue your path and your journey by yourself, autonomously. It's difficult, it's hard to interiorize. You get a paycheck every 2 weeks or every month. And this is something that you can count on because it's about, your expenses. It's about paying your bills. And it's about many more things. It's about building a kind of a retirement plan or an IRA or a pension, or having, in fact, shares of the company and vested shares in the, equities in the company. And all of that, combined solidifies your position. But I also want to say it's a little bit illusionary because it's not your company. You don't own 100% of it. And you don't own, especially the big strategic, high level, long term decision making or short term that can have ramifications into your own destiny. Don't forget that probably the largest and highest cost of the balance sheet of the P&L is manpower. So when there is a crisis, when economy is not that great, when there is threats or for a reason or another, losing customers, losing big clients, or even in being in a growing path, or being, again, even in a startup mode, all these different vulnerabilities for the company are the reality around you. And if you want to feel safe, again, this safety, this sense of security, this is important for your balance and the balance of your family and the balance of everybody. It's the mental balance is based on that. But how if you would just, and it's again not simple to do, but I'm trying to tell you what the goal could be, is to convert all this negative energy into opportunities, into positive energy, which I think is part of a definition of the growth mindset. Meaning you own your destiny, and I have to repeat it very often in this place because it keeps coming back. And I myself working on it for myself. You own your own destiny, make your choices, and then there is two type of people. If I want to categorize this in two parts, because of course there is much more than two type of people, but I want to categorize for this particular thing I'm going to say into two categories so that you understand me. You can get out of school and graduate and start your career in an entry level basis, obviously, with one intention, is that the company that employs you takes you in charge. In other words, you make totally a decision, and because this is who you are, or because this is something that makes you feel safe, is that the company owns you, meaning, it's going to determine your training, your onboarding, your almost your relationships, the relations that you're going to have with different people. But when it's about training or a program that is designed for you, you're going to have to comply with this program by the dot. So what I'm trying to say is that you're entering in a box, so to speak, and you like it. It makes you feel safe. There is a structure, a framework, and it's totally respectable to have someone who looks for that. Totally respectable. And many of you do that. But I'm talking about the entry level. Now I'm going to about 2 or 3 years later, and then 5 years later, and 8 years later. There is something that for those who are not really meant for this kind of journey, are not really meant to be controlled and be and it's not the control is the wrong word. It's more about we take care of our employees. We are designing everything for them at any level. We give a scheme of how long it takes to get promoted, because we won't allow one position to be promoted to the next level if there is no 2 or 3 years, for example. Whoever that person is, and as bright as this person can be, there will be very little exceptions given to burn any step of this design journey, which is predictable, which has been pre-designed for you, and where you can even know exactly where you're going. It's very standardized. It's like taking on a uniform on yourself. And I think it's the best analogy. There's people who like to wear a uniform, right? I'm not talking about the uniform you wear for the type of service you give, because sometimes you work in a place very high end, and you or for the brand of what you work for, and just for the purpose of the brand, you're going to wear a uniform. I'm talking about the uniform to be inside this box and comply with every policies and with every things that have been set for you. And that, again, there's a large portion of people that like to have that. They feel safe. There is a framework. And then the second category is those who are looking for responsibilities, looking to own their destiny, and looking also to own part of the P&L. In their responsibilities, in each role that they play, they're going to give I don't know, be given a role where they have to build up a team. They have to build their team. So they will have to go by different processes and best practices that the company dictates for this kind of thing, which is recruiting, going through the recruiter, have 3 positions publicized, and give equal chance to every candidate. All of that is the same. What's different here is versus this framework I was defining, where everything has to be complying by the dot every step of the way for every aspect of the day to day, every aspect of leadership, every aspect of interactions, and even to operate or to navigate different kind of organizations, such as a pyramid organizations, a matrix organization. All of this is dictated, pre-designed by people who are in fact trained and specialized and expert in the matter, especially in the HR department. And all of this is going to be complied with and dictated, predestined, predetermined. On the other side, again, for many other companies, the space is open for the leaders to design themselves this path for themselves, to even design their own training program. The only thing that can be eventually well structured and a real framework is definitely an onboarding, for example, for a new employee, or other different processes around the organization. But they're given much more leeway to make their own decisions and have a lot of leverage and influence to make those decisions approved if there is a need of consensus. But it is not the same type of culture. So this is one type of culture, the framework, the very organized, predestined path for every single employee, and the other one where you might be promoted, in fact, sooner than you think, because you proved yourself, because you have a very high performance. We see a consistency in there, an algorithm in your performance, and then now really you deserve, and especially we need you to be, in fact, at the next level. 9 months later, 12 months later, not necessarily 2 or 3 years later. All right, there's more variables and more variations of what I'm trying to here, giving a very high level categorization. But why do I do that? Because it's a perfect example of where do you feel safe and where you feel less safe. And the fact of feeling safe is all proportional to what you allow the external influence and external information, especially narrative, to influence you. Because you never know where this is coming from or why this reorg takes place. If you are told something, it's like sometimes when I'm waiting 3 hours in a plane to take off, the pilot is going to give us the reason of being on the floor. And I couple of times already, and especially with one airline company, I found out that it was always lying. So you never know why you're stuck somewhere or you're stuck in a plane. They don't want sometimes to tell you because they are not very proud of the reason. Let's say they forgot a piece of luggage, or they don't want to say it loud, or they don't want to say it, period. But the plane is going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck in the plane, and you're going to have to wait patiently. All right. So this is a little bit of how you can identify a little bit how you situate yourself. But the key of what I'm trying to say here is ending uncertainty is really an opportunity. I want to handle uncertainty to something, to a position, a behavior that I really do not prescribe, but I think is the best choice for many people, is to take this as an opportunity. Even being laid off is an opportunity. It's just the way you take it, the way you are going to leave the situation and take the test, because it's usually a test, a trial of some kind, to see if you are handling yourself properly, if you can contain yourself, have a real composure of someone who's stable, because all the stability, in other words, and the security, and sincerely, I'm saying this from my heart, is within yourself, shouldn't be influenced by anything external of you. Very little, very minority influence from the external, because you allow, of course, the information to come to you. Then you still have your brain to analyze this information and try to make a sense of it. Eventually, you have to research, validate something, uh, talk to your peers, to your friends, your relatives, to your wife, to your spouse. All of those people have influence in you before you make your final decision about how to react to this, and in fact, never react. Be more proactive than reactive. So that's one thing. The other one is to set the stage, that really sets the stage to develop skills to navigate uncertainty. And setting the stage for that is to do it like a prevention, like a vaccine. Really, you want to be immune from being scared. There is no reason. You don't deserve it. You're dedicated a lot in your job, in your work, maybe too much, and maybe you again put too much dependence of your destiny in your employer or in your boss, and this is probably a very wrong approach. I say that very directly, because if you do that, the amount of pain and uncertainty and sense of being unsafe is proportional to the amount you're investing in trusting in everything that in fact represent the threat. And this is why, by just focusing on yourself, gaining trust in yourself, and being more strategic and sometimes self-centered, which is not necessarily an attitude of selfishness, but it's to be better with people that you are leading, or people that you're living with, or that you spending the time with. And that gives so much quality in the day, so much quality in the moment, when you gain that skill of autonomy, of containing and this composure, of being really living with a growth mindset. So I think I'm inviting you to reflect on this, to reflect on your own situation, to emphasize, and see uncertainty as an opportunity for growth, that you're going to have something to learn from this. And with resilience, obviously, and with grace, when you're a leader, you can communicate all of that around you and inspire others to follow you in that path. And the path is nothing else but playing your role and having your mindset under your control. It's the thing that you build all the time, that you carry with you and bring with you when you go to a meeting, when you go to a space where there is other people. You're totally clear about your goals. You're totally clear about your values. That creates boundaries. That makes you, in fact, extremely strong, because when those boundaries are started to get violated, you stop it, and you know how to. And this is because you defend those core values at any price, at any cost. And this is why that makes you a strong leader, that what makes you a convincing person and reliable, and so reliable that people trust you because they see this as a consistent brand of yours. So hopefully these few words are going to guide you a little bit and influence you to gain this autonomy, even if you are in this category A or this category B. The A being, I like to be in a framework, very structured organization where everything is set in stone or everything is at least designed for me. My path, my career, my day, everything is designed for me and I like it. I want to be taken in charge. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But there is a lot of cost to pay for that. And if at one morning you wake up and you say, "Hey, what is going on here? I feel very tight. It's like being in a box. Where is the exit? I can't breathe." That could be at one point someone's reaction if this is not what you meant for. But there's people who love the system and are system people and can do this all for a whole career and be very happy and blossoming. And the category B is the open mind. It's the open space where we want leaders to be responsible for many more things. In other words, all the things that the other categories companies take responsibility for and take charge of, so that the employees don't have to worry about it. They have to just be carried on. They are taken care of. You go to a in the train and you let the train go for yourself, and then of course you have to do what you have to do, but within this framework. It's very structured. You know what's going to be tomorrow almost. But now, my conclusion on this categorization of A or B, I think you understand what I mean. The one on category A that now is in a reorg situation or something uncertain, something that is going to create an ambiguity about the future, especially when you have been carried on that way, it's going to be much harder for you to react and to navigate that uncertainty, that event of reorg or buyout or merger or even bankruptcy. Okay? And by the way, if we are resilient, you never know what's going to happen. I was in a situation, be employed in a company that went Chapter 11, and I just had to learn what Chapter 11 means, because a few months later, a company took over, and there was many more opportunities for me that were starting to show up. I didn't have to, give up on what I was doing. I was not told to leave. That was not my case. But even if you're laid off, again, the market is open. You are valuable. You have to be, in fact, always very aware of what's your value in the market, so that you have this awareness and be always ready for a change. Staying loyal, having integrity to your employer, absolutely, 100%. But being also selfish and take care of yourself, take care of your wellness, of your family, of your stability, which in fact, again, really is in your hands, in your hands. So hopefully these few words are coming from the experience of every day with my clients. And all I share with you here is this experience, telling you the stories, giving you a little insight about what I feel. It's always about what I feel that I share. It's not necessarily how you would feel in the same situation. But I try to give a few guidelines and some different checkpoints, thresholds that you can rely on, benchmarks, or whatever you want to use it, so that you can use this as a benchmark. And eventually, if you want to, and we can obviously always talk about your specific case. Go to my website, andrepolitzer.com, and book a slot of time, and we can just spend 20-30 minutes together, specifically speaking about your challenges. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and see you next week. Bye.